Hi everyone, how are you? My name's Gabby. I'm going to be one of your undergrad TAs this semester. So this video is basically just going to serve as a short tutorial for using Oscersketch. And it's definitely one thing you want to learn this semester because it is going to be a main component of not only workshop quizzes, but your mini exams as well. So as you can see here, I'm just on the Oscar homepage. I'm going to go ahead and click CHE321 Fall. You want to make sure this is the site you're accessing for this semester. So I go ahead and I click that. You see my name, you see the course. Please make sure you're clicking on the right one. Normally when you go to Oscerfolio, it will go ahead and bring you straight to Howler where you guys can ask any questions you may have on the course. Then you'll click Quiz Taker and it will bring you to the quizzes that are available here. Anything that's highlighted green are quizzes that are open. Now what I really want to focus on in this video is just exactly how to use Oscersketch and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. So if I go back into that login page, you'll see here we have a few options available. I had clicked on Oscerfolio. If you guys click on course homepage, this will bring you to the syllabus. It also has the help tab, which has all the TA office hours listed. So that's going to be a great help when you're looking for TA office hours. So now when we take a look at the other options here, we have Oscersketch Plus. This is extremely useful when you want to just practice with the software and make sure you have a good idea of what's going on. So the first thing we're going to do is start by drawing just a very basic molecule. I'm going to start by drawing hexane, which is just a 6-carbon chain. So I see I have my carbon highlighted red and I have my single bond highlighted red. And what you'll notice is if you mouse over the options, sometimes they'll give you little descriptions of what they do. So that's like single bond, you have arrows here, right? And then it gives you some info up here. So if you're ever lost, just see if it'll give you some info. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click. Once I click, it's automatically going to pop up a CH4. Then where this is highlighted green, I'm going to click that green highlight and drag the bond. When I do that, I now have a 2-carbon chain, and it automatically goes from CH4 to CH3. Then you'll notice that when I hover over this group here, the carbon becomes green. I'm then going to click that green carbon and drag and create another carbon, so on and so forth until I get 6 carbons total. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, let's say we need to add some groups coming off of this main chain. What you'll notice is that the carbons in the middle are just like little mountain peaks, but they also get highlighted green. So if I look at this guy and I click that green highlight, drag it up, that creates a new bond. Now, what I do suggest that you do is when you need to select different atoms, make sure that you make the group all carbons. Sorry about that, guys. So I had some dogs barking. Anyways, like I was saying, once we create all of our carbons, right, then go back to the top bar and click the atom you want to use. So in this case, let's say an oxygen. Hover over one of those green highlighted carbons and then tap it or click it, and you'll see that it becomes an oxygen. Right now, let's say you wanted to make this oxygen a double bonded oxygen. You can do a few things. With the single bond, like little indicator here selected, you can just go ahead and tap it again. And when you click it again, you'll see that it becomes a double bond. Click it another time, it becomes a triple bond, right? So you can just play around with that and just keep clicking it to change it to different bonds, single, double, triple. Or you can just go ahead, click double bond and tap it, and it will just bring it to a double bond right away. Another thing you'll notice is that that hydrogen just kind of disappears on its own. So that's just some very basics. If you want to make maybe a Cl, a chlorine, once again, just hover over when the atom is green, click it, and then it will change it. Now, Oscerfolio does not have any undo buttons, but if you need to erase something, if you come up here to this toolbar, you'll see we do have X's. This first X just deletes one atom at a time. The X within the box deletes the entire molecule. So you'll see everything here is now highlighted red. So let's move on to the next piece of Oscersketch. So we click, we make our fancy little carbon chain. And now let's say that we need to make a second structure. Maybe it's a very large molecule and you just need to make another structure. So if you see here, you have this 1,2 button. When you click that button, you then highlight to something that's green. Click it again, and now you'll see that you can easily click and drag, and you actually have the capability to make a duplicate of the molecule. So that's a handy tool, especially during mini exams, where you can easily just duplicate the molecule instead of spending time redrawing it. So once again, we're just going to go ahead and delete this one. Now let's say that this molecule here is in the wrong spot. Maybe you wanted it in the center of the page. Over here, you'll see that you have these two icons. If you click this one, this allows you to move just one atom at a time. But if you click the one in the box, that now allows you to move the entire molecule. So you can just move it around the page however you would like. Lastly, you can also use these arrows here. This first one will make your drawing larger, whereas this one will make the drawing smaller. So if you need to fit more inside the box, you do have that ability as well. Okay. Next, let's talk about charges. So once again, we create this random compound, and let's say we want to do an oxygen there. And now let's say we want to give this oxygen a negative charge. I just click the little minus symbol, and I click the oxygen, and now it's O minus. But now let's say I wanted to make it positively charged, right? If I click the plus sign, it's just going to bring it back to neutral. So then I click it again, and now it will be positively charged. So by clicking the plus and minus signs, we're just increasing or decreasing the charge by a factor of 1. So if it's neutral, it'll go plus or minus 1, and vice versa. If it's plus or minus 1, it'll just go back to neutral. Just make sure you guys are spending some time on your own, playing around with the system a little bit, getting familiar with it. But this video is pretty comprehensive of just the very basics. Lastly, let's move on to drawing arrows. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this whole compound. And now let's say we need to do a reaction where we have this oxygen with a negative charge. And then I'm going to come up here, and you're going to see that we have little reaction arrows. So I'm just going to include one of those. I'm going to go ahead and put a hydrogen with a positive charge. And now I have to draw a reaction arrow. When I do that, you're going to see up here you have two options. This one is highlighted blue, and it comes with all this text. This is a fishhook arrow. These are used for radicals. For right now, in the very beginning of the course, you want to make sure you're using this red arrow that is denoting 2 electrons, because anytime we're drawing curved arrows, we're always starting with 2 electrons. So you're going to go ahead, take the minus charge of that oxygen, and you're going to click on it. So step 1 for curved arrows is click your starting point, then click somewhere in the middle, and finally click your end point. And that will create one curved arrow. So once again, let's go ahead and use my X to erase it. And then we go starting point, middle, end point. And now let's say I'm a little bit of OCD and I don't like that it's cutting into that minus charge. If you come over here where this 4 section arrow meets, you can just adjust the arrow as you please. That way it looks nicer on the eyes. Okay, so that's essentially the very basics of Oscersketch. I don't believe I missed anything. These here are electron lone pairs. You don't have to use the lone pairs in these diagrams, but you know, if you're comfortable with them, that's totally okay. The last thing I do want to talk about is how to save and submit things on your mini exams. So what you're going to see is I do have a workshop pulled up here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to run through question number 10 together. Okay, guys, so like I said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do question number 10 on the workshop quiz together, just to show you how you should be saving and submitting these responses. So that way Oscerfolio does record them. So it says to create Oscersketch for answer 10. So we're going to click that. And it logged me out, so just a moment. Sometimes that will happen. So we go back to quiz taker. I'm going to go ahead and click workshop 1, and now it's open. So the question opens up for me, and I just have to draw a good contributing structure. So let's use some of those tools we just learned, right? It's a mini exam, we're low on time. So I'm going to hit my 1-2 copy button, click my molecule, and now I have a copy of it. So that just saved me a few minutes of creating that Oscersketch. Now, when I draw this structure, the best contributing structure for this one is going to be where the electrons for the nitrogen move there. That oxygen should be single bonded. If it wants to do that today, that would be wonderful. And then that oxygen will have a minus charge, and my nitrogen will have a positive charge. Right, that's my best contributing structure, and the reason for that is what you learned in lecture. But let's say I'm done. I think that's my final answer. So before I do anything, before I come down to the bottom and I click save and I click submit, I first want to deal with the Oscersketch function itself. And I want to click save, then I want to click close. And when I do that, you should see not submitted. As soon as I click submit answers, it will change. So it'll go ahead and it will say correct or incorrect, depending on what you've entered. But yeah, so you just want to make sure that you are saying, or clicking rather, save and then close Oscersketch. That's really the main idea behind this stuff, especially for your mini exams that we want to get across. So just make sure that you are doing it. Okay, very last thing I want to talk about is just this code here. So that code, you guys don't have to worry about it. Let me zoom in real quick. So this code here, it's called a SMILES code. That's for the professor use only. Don't worry about modifying it, changing it. It's just how the system processes your answer. So don't worry about it. If your code is different from someone else, they should relatively be the same. All right, guys. So that just about concludes this video. I hope you guys found it helpful. I hope you found it nice and easy, very quick. But yeah, so that's it for Oscersketch. I wish you guys the best of luck this semester, and I hope to see you in office hours and workshop. Enjoy the rest of your day.